In a wealth management business such as ours, advice forms a cornerstone of our offering and essentially is the distinction and glue in our relationship with our clients. As advisors, our responsibility is to enable our clients to make better decisions around all aspects pertaining to their personal finance, whether it is ownership related or with regards to your income statement or balance sheet or how you think about capital. Essentially, you make these decisions in the foreground of your life, where your senses are influenced very much by what is noisy and newsy at the time. For many years, I've kept track of news events, and it's wonderful to look back and realize just how many crises we go to, be they political, economic, or something happening in financial markets. Right now, there's a huge amount of political rhetoric in our economy, in our country. In the run-up to the elections later in the first half of the second quarter, there are concerns around the supply side, there are labor issues, there's concerns in the manufacturing sector, there's concerns around currency volatility, and the rand is very much front of mind. What I realize though is when you look back over the years, there always seems to be a crisis, it's just packaged differently. We typically make decisions with two aims. The first one is a desire for pleasure, so we'll make decisions and point our minds in the direction of something that will give us pleasure. And we make decisions to avoid pain, whether it's perceived or actual. So with much of the rhetoric that's going on and the crises that's going on, there will always be a huge amount to distract us. And what we do is we look for patterns, we look back at history to try and join the dots, and we look for market commentators and try and rely on their wisdom. So with all these distractions that we face, it often points to the role and the relevance of an advisor, because we all have time scarcity, and it's often difficult to make decisions where our senses are being influenced by all that I referred to a little bit earlier. You need a framework to think, and an advisor's responsibility is to discuss the trade-offs of the decisions that you make, to discuss what risks you face and how to mitigate against them. And it's ultimately to put some kind of plan in place that allows you to think a lot more clearly about your capital. There are many aspects to this, both initial and ongoing. The type of things that we think about are the concentration of your assets. We think about the complexity of your affairs. We think about liquidity requirements. We think about your cash flows. We think about the leverage of your balance sheet. All of this and more comes into the equation when we think about a long-term plan. We believe that if we have the plan in place, we're a lot more free in thinking about capital and where capital should find a home. And ultimately, we can then implement the right strategies for the objectives that we set up in the first place. So very simply, once we've defined the objectives of the capital and what the purpose is, we need to make sure that we find the right assets, the right quality assets, at the right price for the right amount of time to put into those portfolios. If we get all of this right, we remain recognized and respected as one of the leading wealth management firms in South Africa. I thank you for your time.